Is this thing working? Mic check 1 2 1 2. How you doing, everybody? This is Mic check, and I'm your host, Mikal Butler. All right, look. First couple minutes, new podcast. Let's make it interesting. Let me hit you with a few facts. Did you know that only 5% of Earth's oceans are actually explored? Only 10% of space is explored, and only 30% of all of our caves are explored. But did you also know that 86% of people will believe any statistic as long as you put a number in front of it? Now that you're here to stay, let's get down to business. Now, if you know me, whatever preconceived notion you have in your head of what this podcast is going to be like or supposed to be like, get that out of your head at all. So basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of showing a different side of myself that, not too many people see. I'm a very deep thinker, you know what I'm saying? So, in thinking about this podcast, I get super excited about stuff. So, I just started, writing some stuff down. So, obviously, I wrote down my intro already. So, I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. As people, we all have commonalities. We're all human. We all have likes and dislikes. And we enjoy certain things. Now, when you enjoy something, that enjoyment comes from the knowledge of that experience. So, you can't really enjoy something without first having the knowledge of it. So how are you supposed to enjoy something that you have no knowledge of? For example, if you don't know what water or swimming is like, how are you going to know you like to be in water or to swim? You have to get the experience of actually swimming, whether that be from TV, someone else, or you actually, going in the water yourself. Yet with the lack of knowledge, the only thing that's there is basically fear and uncertainty. For example, we have the unknowns of the ocean. We have the unknowns of space and uncharted islands. There are people living on islands that, we don't even know about that have, unheard dialects and their own way of living life. So there's also the unknowns about space and things like that. We know so little about life, but what's crazy is people, us as humans, we feel like we know everything. Yet the biggest unknown out of everything we know is us as people. So I'm going to read a little bit of what I wrote. Yet the biggest unknown are us. People are the only known people that question their own existence. What is life? Why was I given life? Does it mean anything? And now that I'm here, what do I do with it? The premise of this whole podcast is to push the intellectual mind to think more deeply about life. Think about our own life, others' lives, and life itself, and how to live it. I want to push people to think as individuals and as intellectuals. This is made to basically inspire the next group of leaders that will propel the human race into the future. Now, a little bit about myself. So, like I said earlier already, my name is Mikal Butler. I'm a recent graduate of King's College School in Pennsylvania. I've been playing sports my entire life, but, there's always been something that I felt kind of needed to come out, I always thought that, playing football and being an athletic trainer, I went to school for athletic training, that I would always, kind of do one of those two things. But it's coming to my attention that recently I've had a bigger purpose in life. And I feel as though me being able to project that voice onto a podcast, I can actually get my ideals out. And I feel being more of a social activist, especially the time we're going through now, that it would, make more of a change. To me, I see this as my way of making a change on a very small level, but hopefully it gets big enough to where my voice is propelled out into, the whole country, even the whole world. But today's topic is actually about truth. So, like I said earlier, I write everything down. So, if you see me reading, that's just because I wrote all this stuff down. I'm actually also in the process of writing a book on European colonialism. And that book is going to eventually be about, obviously with all the tension that's going on now in America, people have the misconception that, that's just an American thing. But honestly, all over the world, things just like this are happening. But that's a different story for a different type of platform. So back to what we're talking about now, the philosophical relativity of truth. So truth is subjective. Now think about it. You have two types of things that are subjective and objective. Your subjective things are traits that you know to yourself. So, for example, let's say this door behind me. Now, my subjective orientation of this door is that it's white, right? For an objective thing, objective would be more of a broader case. So objective is something that can be worldly known to everyone. For example, I think the best example of something that's objective would be math. So math is something that everyone knows. 2 plus 2, no matter what country you're in, 2 plus 2 is 4. So that's very objective. So the thing about truth is subjective, thus meaning that any one person's truth may be just for that person. So in philosophy, we have these things called primary and secondary qualities. Primary qualities, if I remember correctly, is something about color. So for example, the door is white, right? So to me, this door is white. But say for example, someone is colorblind, so that door could be, let's say, blue. So my truth is that this door is not white, but that person's truth is that this door is blue. So there's multiple truths that can happen, hence truth is subjective. Let me give you another example. Another example would be, let's say, sound. Let's say I'm walking and I hear a big bang, right? But the person next to me is deaf and that person doesn't hear anything. Now my truth through experience is now that I just heard a loud noise. I just heard a loud bang. But this person next to me who's deaf won't know what's happening. So to them, their truth is that they're going about their normal day. But my truth is something alarming just happened. My senses just went off to hear a loud bang. Now this is a very simple example, but think of it on a larger scale. Think of it for something like a bit of a touchy subject. Think of it as religion, right? So in the Christian faith, you were taught to believe that Jesus is God. But in the Muslim faith, they don't believe the same thing. So as a Christian, my truth would be, okay, Jesus is God. But as a Muslim, Jesus was just a prophet. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it different. So everyone has their own truths about certain things. Now, even in those truths, they seem to be subjective over a large, vast area of people. Everyone believes generally in the same thing. But even with those certain things, people all have their own subjective thoughts about them, making their truth slightly different, whatever variation that may be. Another great example of truth, or should I say false truth, would be medicine, right? So we always think we know what's going on. But as you can see, medicine is always changing, right? Medicine is always changing. So what we knew 10 years ago is completely different now. For example, the way we taught or the way we used to treat ACL surgeries back then, let's say back in 2000, let's say we used to think that it was bad to actually exercise before the surgery. And now we know with ACL tears that you're actually supposed to exercise before the surgery. That way they come out better after the surgery. Here's a good example. Your parents, right? Your parents, let's say you ever been told that, you eat gum and it's going to stay in your system for 7 years. That's your truth. Now you know that, and that's like, all right, well, that must be true. My parents just told me it. Or, better yet, when you're cracking your knuckles, and your parents told you it would give you arthritis, that's completely false. So when you believe things like that, when you believe something, that is now your truth. But your truth may not always be right. My point being that every day you never know whether you're being lied to or not. Everything should be put into question because that person's truth may not be your truth or what you believe in or what you should come to know. When you're told a fact or truth, maybe that truth for that person may be conflicting with the evidence you find yourself. For example, if someone tells you dogs are nice, right? Let's say someone tells you dogs are nice, but you yourself, the first time you met a dog, he chased you up the street. Now, through your experience, dogs are not nice, but that person told you dogs are nice. So what truth is true? Now, blindly following the truth is a path to ignorance and brainwashing. So let's go back to the dog example. Let's say now my example or my first impression of a dog is that I'm getting chased, but I was told dogs are good. So if every time I'm around a dog, let's say I'm around 3 more dogs and I keep getting chased, but I keep getting told dogs are good, if I go up to a dog thinking it's good, I'm going to get my ass chased every time, So it's said to believe that insanity is doing the exact same thing but expecting a different result. At this point, if I continue to go around dogs and I continue to get chased, but I think they're good, I'm ignorant and, in fact, insane. That's crazy. So I guess the big question is, how do I find what's true to me and what do I really believe in? Now, most people would say education, but let's face it, education systems can be flawed and skewed depending on where you are. The American education system has been skewed for hundreds of years, and it obviously shows considering what we're going through today. I believe the best form of truth actually comes from experience. Once you actually experience something, then you're able to understand it just a little bit better. But experience can't just come by on its own. You have to really know something. You have to not only experience it, but have education behind it and use something I like to call displacement. Now, a lot of people might not know what displacement is. The way I define displacement is removing yourself physically, mentally, or emotionally from a situation. That way you're able to assess it from all different aspects, different perspectives, if you will. With displacement, you're able to avoid any type of bias that may come along in your education or even your experience. Because if I was to experience, let's say, my experience of that one dog and I got chased, that doesn't mean all the dogs are going to chase me, you know? But I won't know that unless I'm able to displace my own experience, look at it from a different viewpoint and see, okay, you know what? This happened one time, but that doesn't mean all people are like this. So basically, to find truth within yourself, you need those three things. You need education, experience, and displacement. With those three things, you can avoid any type of ignorance or brainwashing from whether it be other people or our government. Think about it. People get brainwashed all the time, and if you think you're not, then you're sadly mistaken. So what's the point of this topic? I think it's important for all of us to know how to find our own truths that way we're able to make our own decisions. That's the point of all this. The point is to not just be told something and then run with it. That's just leaving yourself in the dark. That's blindly following somebody. That's the same thing that Nazis did with Hitler. They thought that, oh, he was doing all these great things, and then they find out, oh shoot, we were killing all these people and we didn't even know about it. Most Nazis, knew, but there's a lot of German people. The German people did not know anything about it. So I think it's good for us as people to be able to intellectually sit there and think and configure our own thought process and our own thoughts about certain ideologies and topics that we're not all, being quote unquote brainwashed or, blindly following someone else. I'm basically trying to tell you or trying to teach you to question your own questions. That's why I personally think that philosophers were some of the most intelligent people to ever walk this earth because they didn't just take yes for an answer, They said why. Not only why, but why to the question of why. They question their own questions. That's the only way you're going to be able to get around any type of bias or foggy information, false information that is going to bias your opinion. So as the audience, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to pretty much think about your whole life. Question everything that you've ever known. Think, why do I feel a certain way about a certain topic? Why do I feel a way about this person? I have certain experience about this, but what does the education tell me about this? I've learned about it in class, but I've never actually experienced it. So I want you guys to go out and actually look at all these different things and try to make your own idea out of it. Try not to get too many different thoughts from different people, but try to actually configure your own idea in your own head and kind of see where that takes you a bit. And I think that this is going to be the first step into us as people, being able to make our own ideas and own thoughts and move into the future because everyone has different viewpoints on different things. You know what I'm saying? So someone else may look at something differently that you never thought of, But that's the end of our first conversation here on Mic Check. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I want this podcast to be interactive. So I'm going to have special guests on here from time to time. I'm also going to do Q&A sections more towards the end of the podcast. So after we're done talking about our topic, then I want to have a Q&A section where you guys can ask questions or bring up a certain idea or topic you want talked about on the show, and I want to be able to address that. So you have an idea for your own topic or anything that you kind of want to look more into, please send it over to me. If you have any type of questions that you want answered, also send those in. again, if you watched the whole video, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I plan on dropping every Friday, more or less. So please come back, learn a little bit, try to open your mind. I think it'll really help all of us as people move forward in life and move forward as a planet and as human beings, as a species. So that's that, you heard? Make out, you dig?